college campus because you can just smell the futon. The futon is my all-time favorite invention because it's a super crappy, uncomfortable couch that turns into a super crappy, uncomfortable bed without sacrificing any of the crappiness. It's really an incredible feat of engineering to have it be just like completely even in how crappy it is. You're like, hey, try my new couch. You're like, oh my god, this is the shittiest thing I've ever sat in. They're like, wait until you try the bed. You're like, oh, this is equally as shitty. This is amazing. A futon is a reminder that if something serves dual purposes, it's better. The smaller it is, the better it is. Like if your phone is your camera, that's technology. If your couch is a bed, you're a college student. If your pen is a laser, you're James Bond. If your car is your house, you're homeless. So shoot for smaller. I do have something to say to every guy here about a futon, which is this. When you are in college, a college woman will fool around with you on a futon. But once she gets a degree, she has no interest in ever hooking up on a futon ever again. It is a thing she does because there are no other options. The best analogy I can give you is if you as a guy went to prison and while you were there you hooked up with other dudes. It's not your first choice, but you're there. That's the way girls feel about futons. Girls hate futons because there's nothing romantic about a futon. And I know there's nothing romantic about it because it does not pass what I like to call the French guy test. I believe that French guys can make anything sound romantic with their accent. But even a French guy can't make a futon sound romantic. Even a French guy can't be like, ah, mon chéri, the perfect end to the perfect evening. Now, help me push this away from the wall! I pulled the lever and our love bed has revealed itself. If you're wondering if there is a cleaner fitted sheet, alas, there is but the one. So it's great to be back on a college campus. It's an election year. You guys excited? Yeah! I don't care who you vote for, but I need everyone here. You're all going to vote, right? Because remember, everybody older than you are the ones that screwed this up. It's your turn to vote. I'm really excited. I'm glad we finally have, these next 2 months are really exciting. I love debates. I love like the last 2 months, like the press forward to election day. I'm very excited for the debates. I feel like, you know, Barack Obama right now, he's in trouble. Like another bad jobs report came out today. The economy's bad. Like there's a real chance for Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's fighting two things though. The first thing that Romney's fighting is he's just too rich. He's too rich to ever connect with human people. And when he tries to connect with them about how he's just like them, he's so rich that by trying to connect, he shows the gap between them and him and them. Like he was talking to Michigan voters and he was talking to them about how he drives American cars, which was his way of saying, I'm just like you. But as he started mentioning his cars, he listed too many cars. He was like, I drive a Dodge pickup and a Ford Mustang. My wife Ann has a couple of Cadillacs. We drive a Corvette down the hill every morning and a Lamborghini back up at the end of the day. Every Sunday we take the Kia out for a drive, and then at the end of the day we light the Kia on fire because that's a one-day only car. We have a Ford Explorer for the dog. Oh no, the dog can't drive, but he likes to chew on the fine leather interior. Dogs have been playing a part in this campaign, which is great. Because there was a story that has come out that in the 80s, Mitt Romney was on the road trip, and he was in a station wagon with his family, and there was not room for the dog, so he built a makeshift cage for the dog on top of the station wagon and drove across country with the dog on top of the car. And a lot of liberals said that proves that Mitt Romney doesn't have respect or compassion for animals. But then in Barack Obama's book, he wrote his autobiography, he wrote that he was living in Indonesia as a kid, he ate dog. And conservatives were like, that's worse. I will say, if you're a dog, they're both bad. They're both bad. But I will say, as a human, I would react to those two things differently. Like, if I was in Indonesia and I saw like an 8-year-old eating a dog, I would go, that is distressing to me. I would never do that. But this is a place that is of a different culture, and they have a different way of going about things, and their societal norms are different than mine. So while I do not care for the idea of eating a dog, I will not judge this person. Whereas if I was on the road and I saw a guy driving by with a dog on top of his car in a makeshift cage, I would say, "There's a dog in your car!" So it's slightly different. But the interesting thing for me, the biggest problem Mitt Romney has is Mitt Romney's going into the debates with Barack Obama. And Barack Obama's really good at debating. And I don't know who will win the elections, but I'm very confident. Yeah, I did. You caught it. I said it. I did it. You know what? I love politics so much that sometimes I accidentally say erections. I don't know who's going to win the election, but I don't think that Mitt Romney could beat Barack Obama in a debate. Mostly because, like, Mitt Romney practiced during the GOP primaries against some really low-quality opponents. Like, that wasn't a bunch of A-listers that Mitt Romney had to get his way through. So now he's debating against Barack Obama, who's really good. And here's when you're going to know that Mitt Romney's in trouble in a debate. Mitt Romney will be at his podium, and he will say something, and Barack Obama will hear him say it, and Barack Obama will do that thing where he smiles a little bit and starts writing something down. And you'll be watching at home, you'll be like, oh boy, he's got something! Here we go, he's got something! And it's like, Mitt Romney will be like, oh no, he's writing something down, this isn't good. And you'll be like, oh, I remember Seth Meyers told me that was going to happen in this debate, so. But I will say, I'm not even like, I don't care who gets elected, because the thing I'm worried about the most right now is Europe. I feel like Europe is so, it's so tenuous, it's so hanging by a thread, and I feel like if Europe falls, we're all gonna fall. And it is so scary to me right now. It feels like our entire, global economic system is tied to, Greece. And I'm like, is Greece gonna ever bounce back? I find it hard to believe. I mean, they have, a yogurt-based economy. And the other problem with the European Union is it's 17 countries, and they have to agree unanimously before they do anything. The other day, Finland held up a bailout. Finland! And I was just thinking, I can't make dinner plans with 3 friends. Imagine how hard it would be if none of us, spoke the same language and all our grandparents killed each other in World War II. That's World War II is ancient history in America. It's yesterday in Europe. And that's a real problem because the one economy that's still doing okay in Europe is Germany. But Germany as a country can't be the ones to say, we have a plan. When all the finance ministers are sitting around and the German one is like, actually, we believe we have a solution. They're like, no. I'm pulling for Europe. I love Europe. I lived in Europe for 2 years. Right after college, I graduated and I moved to Europe. I lived in Amsterdam for 2 years. I say I lived in Amsterdam, people are like, yeah, I know why you lived in Amsterdam. But it's not why you think. The reason I lived in Amsterdam for 2 years is because weed is legal there. So don't jump to conclusions. But I have to say I outgrew smoking marijuana in Amsterdam, and when you outgrow smoking marijuana, the very next thing you outgrow is having friends who smoke marijuana. Because when you all smoke marijuana, it's great to have friends who smoke marijuana, because they come over and they're like, dude, I brought Skittles, and you're like, yeah! And now at my age, those same friends are like, dude, I brought Skittles, and I'm like, do you have health insurance? Because you're gonna die. But I had to leave Amsterdam after 2 years because it was so easy to buy and smoke weed in Amsterdam that you change. Basically over the course of 2 years. When you're in Amsterdam for a year, you just turn into Matthew McConaughey. You're a totally normal guy talking like I'm talking now, and then 12 months pass and all of a sudden you're like, alright. I do believe I'm gonna quit my job and start a hack-a-sack company. after 2 years, he turned into Owen Wilson. This is some really good weed.
Yeah, bro.
So after 2 years, I came back from Europe. Has anybody here ever lived in Europe? Ever been abroad? Something you might not know. When you got back from Europe, everybody hated you. And they hated you because you didn't even know you were doing it, but you talked all the time about how great it was where you were and how shitty it is to be back where they've been the whole time. People who live abroad in Europe are the worst people on earth because they come back and they always talk about how hard it is to be back. They're like, it's really hard for me to drink American beer now because I lived in Belgium. But even worse is people who learn a foreign language and they become immersed in a country in their language and they want you to know they're bilingual. They so want you to know. And the way they do it is they like accidentally on purpose will say foreign words every now and then. Like they'll come back from Europe and like a week later you'll all be going out and everybody will say goodnight at the end of the night. Everybody's like, good night, good night, good night. One guy will be like, buona notte. What? Why would I say that? That's not English. Oh right, I lived in Italy. Even Shakespeare did that. Shakespeare wrote the entire play Julius Caesar in English. But when Caesar got stabbed, Shakespeare had him say "et tu, Brute." Because Shakespeare wanted us all to know that he used to live in Latin.